I don't just talk for fun. Sometimes I do. And most time I actually talk serious about things. That's what I'm mostly into, being more serious than a jokester. It's good to have some jokes to bring up morale and have a good time, but you also got to be mostly serious, definitely if you're into something important or you believe it is. Right? And so I've been talking about energy a lot lately, and affecting of people and things spreading. And I've seen a lot about when it comes to HAARP and all these kind of things, and how it can be, they can say it's good for this, but it's also capable, oh baby, of doing harmful things like that. So it's probably a good timing for me to talk about it, of what it can affect and what it will affect first. So that's, I believe that's God, if we can say, or in the end, worst case scenario, this HAARP, right, which I'll talk more about, can affect energy waves and minds. It affects minds. So it might not be able to completely take over, but powerful enough can. Anything that can tap in, if you get right, can do more damage, right? It's like building a bigger bomb. Right? You figure out the main components, you can go bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what HAARP has been doing for a long time. And it got to a spot where it can go right through the planet. It can locate things and check out how things are going down there. But it sends off pulses. We've made movies about similar devices, what can happen, theories as then get put through. Right? And everything is a theory until we study it. And when we study it, we've got to hope that we take the risk. Right? And that we're ready for the outcome, which is what I was talking about when it comes to the finance thing earlier in my last clip, about taking risks when it comes to communication and spending money on trying to get someone to like you, right? Or how much money do you need to spend to show that, when you can do things naturally a bit more easier in other areas by spending a little more time in appropriate things to say at appropriate times. And so when it comes to this energy HAARP thing, we've seen sheep go around funny. We've seen it can interfere with technology. It can do a lot of things. You can watch these clips about the HAARP if you want, about what it can do. It can affect your body. It can probably give you cancers because it's sending radio waves. And we know about radio waves and how bad radio waves are. We're around too much radio waves and stations and stuff like that. And so they can cause a lot of problems behind the scenes as terrorists, give people cancers just so we can make more money and all sorts of things and keep things quiet. It's a possibility. If you can do it, it's a possibility it can happen, right? And without getting proper clearance and people checking up and making sure on these certain things, so we know that we're not getting these problems, because if we do later, there's going to be big trouble about hiding what we believe could be causing issues. Wouldn't be a good thing, right? Besides the internet and a few other things. So you can imagine if you put a few of these devices together, how much damage you could do, and how much study are they getting out of it, benefits on the damage that could possibly cause or is causing when you go to do new studies. Right? Are you ready to study at this time? In a lot of studies back in the old days, they used to say, oh, we can study this and do this, but it'll be better in the future when we have more technology, right? And that's what we are at the moment with a lot of things, is that we're best to wait, like with AI, until we can hold the dinosaur better. We don't want to be like the people in Jurassic Park and go, yeah, but we can hold the dinosaur, yeah, and you go rushing in. What happens? Right? What happens when you be a Hammond? Not a good story. Right? And we've got all these Hammonds everywhere running around. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Right? And then we get the consequences. So we make them rich, and then we have to clean up the mess. And it's pretty sad, isn't it, with these Hammonds? As governments have given them too much power around the world. And if governments get their shit together and sort out these Hammonds so things can't get too powerful and they can just become more popular, of how cool they become powerful and how good they make money, and they put back into the people instead of collecting an incredible amount that they don't need and can't figure out what to spend, and just spend stupid things because they've got too much. Well, they don't need that much, right? And that can be fixed. Till that day, we've got a big problem about corporations being bigger than countries, right? And they don't even have a country, but they buy their love. A little bit like what the governments are trying to do themselves, but they need to set an example. Right? So when things are going weird and things could be a problem, so people go, yeah, that could line up to that and that and that, and this. We don't have just one problem, we've got this and this and this and this. Perhaps we should shut down something or investigate more into when it comes to using energy waves. It taps into us, it goes through us. Yes, there's energy out there, it's always been naturally out there, but we can change it and make it become worse by our devices and the ways we think and create. Just like a microwave there. See, that picks up the waves and creates the waves to where we want it and concentrates it. They're always there and they're harmless, but if we affect things, we might have to affect a wave and tamper into a wave frequency where you might change that and you all become microwaved. That's how how an atom bomb works, is just a little change, right? Fucking bomb! It causes this reaction. Check it out. This little tiny little split of the atom. You can't even see this thing splitting. It's just a reaction, a change. And it causes a mega reaction. And we do it in bigger scales, how black holes are made, how suns play up at certain tipping points. And you don't want to play around with those things because sometimes they can be permanent. You could light up the atmosphere with such devices, with heat in it, or playing around with such things. But anyway, that's what humans do. We just go, well, if it's scary, we can do it. Hey, it's a laugh, let's jump into it. You know how it goes. Anyway, I thought I'd just chuck that out there for you. My opinion about the HAARP and how it can connect to a lot of things. That HAARP can make incidents happen like they're plagues or magic. But there is no magic. So even when magic's created, it has to come from somewhere. Right? As we've shown in our own fantasy movies about devices that can hover things and create things, or you can just do it with your mind, because your mind is a device to tap in to these energies, to manipulate and to create. Right? The problem is, when you get that knife in Scouts, did you pass the test before you got to play with it? Or do you believe you should just play with it because you believe you can? Right? There's a big difference if you're doing one of those things wrong.
Has written about the potential impact of HAARP for both Jane's Defense Weekly and Popular Science magazine. He believes that HAARP will be used to take giant X-rays of Earth.
Which is what I just talked about.
Technique using extremely low-frequency radio waves. Today in geophysical probing, scientists will use explosives.
But anyway, I'm going to leave it there.
The ground.
If you want to know more, if you believe I just watched that and then come up with what I knew from just watching that, I didn't. You can go check out my list. It'll be on there once in my channel list, and other channels you'd find it shouldn't be there at all. Is that the first time you've heard me play that, Emma? Is that the first time you've heard me play this clip, HAARP?
You've talked about it before.
Yeah, but I'm talking about what I've watched when I used to watch documentaries on Foxtel and Ostar many years ago. So I'm bringing up a little bit of what I know, which is what I talk about when you watch a lot of things. I'm not a documentary like this fella, but I know the main keys. My brain keeps in the main keys of what I know, what I believe I should know, until I forget it. And you can slowly lose a little bit, but sometimes you don't, and sometimes you do. Sometimes you just need a trigger point, as they say. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, I'll just even show you here. And I've done a comment. On sideways. And if we go into, this is me, little list there, into, see if you wanted to check out information, which certain areas should. Hey, imagine complaining about the police, and could you check out videos about these complaints? You could have a murder or anything to the higher police, and then they say they can't see it. Wouldn't that blow your mind? It certainly blew mine. It becomes scary too. But anyway, no one cares if you ever go mention about the truth like that. They'll just believe it's not real. Right? As if I've ever mentioned it. Has anyone ever been worried about that I've mentioned that, Emma? That the police that investigate the police can't even see a video if you ask them to see one?
Yeah,
Yeah, very odd, isn't it?
access YouTube.
Ah, so that means it's not even really happening. That means the police can block the police that police. They get blocked. The police that police the police get blocked. Anyway, or they're just part of it, or then not even the real thing. We can fake a lot of things these days, can't we, people? Anyway, go back. There's something I'll be bringing up more in the future of why things didn't happen. You gotta keep on trucking with it until we get answers on those things. Do. Now, we'll go into history. See the history here? And it just shows you that clip. And you can go forever. This is pretty much everything I've been posting it lately. And you check out a history of what they've been looking at on all channels. So if someone says, well, I didn't research that and went blah, blah, blah on YouTube now, right? You could go back and they did just research it. And people do this. And then get on here and say they didn't. Well, you can easily debunk that by going on there and researching it. Now, I just played a little bit of half that. And I'll stop it. I stop it halfway a lot. You know why? Because of what I just talked about. So they can go back, they can check things, and I got my own proof of what I can say, and even got on my detector, or you're talking your truth. I know I can do what I said, and I'm putting it up there for a point for the place to show use on what I'm talking about, to help out what I'm talking about. And in some very cases, in 20 to 30%, it might be something new that I might need to study. But in a lot of cases, everything's standard and the same things we're going through. And I've had plenty of time to get my outcomes and answers on those things, to line them all up and work out an answer. Right? The more information you put together, just like an investigation, the better outcome and answer you'll get. Anyway, have a good one, everybody. And check out the HAARP. And if you want, let me know what you think about it in the comments or in the area where you watch the films themselves. As a lot of people prefer to, as they say, talk to the ones with the paperwork that is professional. So have a good one and see you later.